I wanted to share a pretty amazing trial with you. This has not even been published yet, which is super exciting. It was presented at the International Stroke Conference. But in the study, what they did is they compared in patients who had ischemic stroke who were awaiting thrombectomy for large vessel occlusion, positioning the patient with the head of the bed flat versus head of the bed 30. This trial was called the ZODIAC trial. It was conducted at 12 different hospitals. One of the things we worry about putting patients in the flat position is aspiration. And so that was actually measured as a safety outcome, and they found no statistical difference between head of bed flat versus head of bed 30 degrees. One of the other things we often worry about is intracranial pressure increasing when the head of the bed is flat. And that whole idea has been debunked since the early 2000s. Let's take a look at the results. So just to orient you here, this is head of bed flat versus head of bed 30. And then we're looking at the NIH stroke scale score worsening by 2 points or more. And what you can see is when the head of the bed flat, one patient had worsening of their NIH versus 26 patients when the head of the bed was at 30. Now let's look at NIH worsening by 4 points or more. So again, you can see when the head of the bed was flat, one patient had worsening of 4 or more versus 20 patients when the head of the bed was at 30 degrees. This is so counterintuitive to everything we've been taught over the years about head of bed positioning in patients who have neurologic injury. Now, one of the things I want to say is I am so super proud is that this study was conducted by a nurse. And one of the things that Dr. Ann Alexandrov has said is that flat head of the bed positioning is not a treatment. It's actually a rescue maneuver. And that's the way you need to think about positioning after stroke. This study has received so much national and international attention because of the results. So super exciting just to think something as simple as head of bed positioning may have an impact in the setting of stroke. And again, just a huge shout out to Dr. Ann Alexandrov, again, a critical care nurse, super awesome. I'm really proud of her. And I reached out to her about the results of the study, and she was so communicative with me and really kind of set the setting for me to show how her studies have built over the years. So she's out of Nashville. Again, just super excited for her and the results and for patients and for everyone involved in stroke care. One other thing I wanted to mention is you might be like, oh, there were only 92 patients that, in this study. Well, here's the deal is they actually they stopped the study early because the results were so overwhelmingly positive for head of bed flat positioning. So, I think it's just always good in healthcare to constantly be reassessing and questioning our practice. And luckily we've got people like Dr. Alexandrov who are willing to put in the time, the energy, and just have the grit to conduct these studies. So huge kudos. I'm really looking forward to the published paper this summer.